So the one we're going for is an old wood type. And I need to just turn that down ever slightly. There you go. And the one I'm mostly interested in, most of these are kind of just there to give me an insight into kind of details and grime and things like that. I'm leaning towards either one of these. Like this type of broken up wall. Or perhaps this guy. This might be more interesting. And these are kind of interesting. These kind of, I'm not sure what to call them. Dips, holes, cavities. We might go for this one. The thing I don't like about this version is that it's too pristine. It's too new, too nice. I do like the way this looks. It feels like someone has used an actual tool by hand rather than what might feel a bit more handmade, or it's not handmade, but machine carved. Or maybe it's not, because you can see these. They look like they will be axe hits, right? Yeah, but I'm thinking we could probably try, at least to some extent, make this guy. Not sure yet how. We'll get into that eventually. That's the main point of this, right? Figure it out. Do I want to make these in between things? I'm not sure what they are. Are they like thinner planks? Looks like they are, because there are some nails in them. Yeah, that will be a challenge to make. So let's see if we have others we can look at. What else do we have? We have this guy, which is kind of nice, but feels perhaps a bit more like floor rather than a wall. I did grab, I believe, these two belong. Yeah. So these two are for textures.com. Just grab the screenshot. So they're low res, can't be used, not tiling because I'm probably not lined them. I didn't line them up properly. But that would be interesting. But again, perhaps more floor than anything else. This, if we were to kind of flip it. Yeah, I kind of like that one. But again, low res. Do I have... We do have this, which might actually be easier to make in many ways. I think we're going to go for something like this. Let's launch designer. I should probably make this one smaller. And is it always on top? It's not. So we need to... This is mode, I believe. Always on top. Can I downsize this, or do I? It's probably locked, so let's unlock it. Yeah, there you go. So we could have this somewhere on the side. Perhaps something like this. We go. Right, so the first thing will be the planks themselves. So I'm using a 2x2 or 2K surface to begin with. We can always upscale later on. The positive thing of starting with a lower resolution like 2K rather than 4K is when you're working with large details in Substance Designer. First of all, it's faster, but you don't really need that granularity, the fine details that you get from a 4K, not yet. But I do recommend once you get into the fine details, kind of bump it up once. Because once Substance has more details to work with, you'll start to notice, whoa, the way the values interact changes a bit. It doesn't just add a finer version of details or more details. It kind of starts to warp things slightly different. So I recommend just start with 2K and then increase as you go along. But that is also downside, because once you get into a larger or more advanced text or graph, a higher 4K resolution will make things a bit more, well, it'll slow down stuff. Right. I am still leaning into this as a wall. There are other reasons why. If I look, you might not see it. If I look at some of the references I have, for example, this one, you can see large wooden planks in the background. I think that is many of the versions I'm looking at. This guy, for example, that is probably more slanted versions. But yeah, you have this guy. So perhaps we should go with the other one, but these might be newer. That's the thing, though. Many of these are taken after like a renovation. But yeah, no, let's go with those. Let's try that. It might be ever slightly easier to make too, so that's fine. There we go. Yeah, we're all fine. So let's start with the main planks, I guess. Just main shape. That's on the side. So that would be, should we go with the tile generator? I think that could be easiest to begin with. How many would I have? I would have 1, 2, 3, 5. So let's start with 10 in Y. See what that gives us. There we go. So we need 1 in X, 10. And it needs to be squares, I believe. So what we're going to do, we're going to increase the luminosity. Yes. So I want to try next. I've used this technique a few times. I always forget it. I believe it's an edged text. Yes. So I want to do an edged text. Increase the width ever slightly. For now, I'm just going to aim for that bevel. And we're going to try to get a variation in that bevel in a second. I'm not sure how to do that. That might be a tricky one. Because if we look at this, you have these big chunks. Then again, those chunks can be made using the slope blur. So that might not be what we want to do right now. I think purely working on the bevel is probably for the best. So let's do that. I'm trying to think if it's just a bevel now, or do I need to do others stuff? So a technique that I've seen used by a very good substance designer artist. Honestly, let's see if we can't find his name, because I do recommend, if you do have interest in designer and creating your stuff. Sorry, it was loud on my side. So if you're interested, by the way, in procedural texture stuff and substance designer, I highly recommend this guy. Let's see. A second. There we go. So on YouTube, his name is Johnny Notes. I'm gonna pin this. Let's do that. Let's see, manual move off the stream. That's on YouTube side, sorry, on Twitch side and on YouTube. Let's do this. That should be it, right? There you go. That should be fine. So yeah, so if you're interested, highly recommend trying out this stuff. So the technique he's talking about is that you want to kind of do this same process of a grayscale randomized version, and then you do an edge detect, and that controls the width of your bevel. And then you go full ham on the bevel, and you do a automate auto scale or levels. And the reasoning he gives is that if you were to change any of these, the bevel where the two planks touch doesn't change. So if you were to, for example, do this, yeah, so you can see there's a change when it comes to the bevel itself. If I do this full bevel and just change the edge detect, there's, although a limit to it, it doesn't really change that intersect very dark areas. It doesn't move that around. So yeah, so that's a great tip, I believe. Maybe do that a bit less. We can also do a level. Bring down the white areas slightly. That kind of sharpens the flat top of the details. So we can add this. Let's see. I also always have an auto level at the end of my graph to capture, because what you want in Unreal later on, and most other engines, is a full range of your height details. So you want to add that. Let's do this. Usually I would have you on top, so let's do that. Height to normal. Let's just use the normal node. Have that. Make sure it's DirectX, which it should do automatically. And I also prefer the RTAO. The results from that slightly more detailed. We could do, for now, 128 samples. But fair enough. So let's do, I don't know, like something like this. Can be fine. Right, so that's a good start, I feel. Let's also, where are you? Right there. Let's make this. Do float. Let's do 0.8. That should be fine. Right. What else am I looking at? Might be a bit too steep. That's fine. Cool. Am I liking the top? I would do it this way. This will be more representative, I think. Oh, come on. There we go. So I think that's a good base. The next will be these types of details. How we're going to do that is a different problem. We might, now that I look at it, we might have to change the approach. And let's see. So the problem, the slope blur I mentioned earlier would do a perfect cut into like the flank like that, but where it wouldn't really help is to create this part, which is kind of, it's bulging out rather than cutting in. The way we could fix that is not doing what we're currently doing. Instead, we will make each one of these planks a rounded log, and then we would deform that log so that it would kind of have a bulge right there, and it would be rounded. What we then would do is to add something like a perfect white color, we would use I believe it's the max, the max blending mode to cut into and giving us this face. I think that might be the only option because I can't really figure out how to make this. Well, actually, there is a way. How would that go? So the way we would do it is that we would use a warp. Right? What can I do this guy? Intensity map. So what if we do... I'm going to add this. I'm going to do this with the Perlin noise, I believe. Low scale. That's kind of where we're going, but I don't want the... So the center line is perfectly straight. That's the thing. And I'm pretty sure if I somehow... Yeah, that doesn't look like it's going to work the way I expected or hoped. What if I flip? Close. Not really what I'm going for. I mean, this is going to look terrible, isn't it? Yeah, that's absolutely horrendous. That's not going to work. Okay, so what if we do this? Let's add a gradient. Is that really the best way? Yeah. I'm going to do a gradient linear. Let's grab this guy. Do pattern input. Let's go to image input, which will give us this. Let's also remove the random. Is this really going to help me? I might run into issues further down the line, but for now, let's do a curve. With that, we should be able to create... Well, there we go. So if I do that, and also the histogram, you can see the histogram down here. If you press this icon, display histogram, you can get your histogram in the bottom. And what we want is for that the values to fully encapsulate the entire thing, or fill the entire thing. So you can see the difference. If I do this, you can see it's very gray compared to what it was once I added the auto level, which means now I have access to the entire span values. And that is what I want. So what I could do now, if I do I want to do warp or warp direction? Let's try both. Let's start with this. I'm going to grab the Perlin noise. I think that's going to work fine for this purpose. All right. Almost. Still that thing. Don't like that. So it's giving us the warp. It's warping the lines. How can I avoid that somehow? How would I do that? That's a good question. Not sure if I can, or at least right now I don't know how. Alternatively, we could use this guy. Warp up. Yeah, this might be better. It's still the same issue, but I would like feeling of it a bit more. Downside is I'm moving it up, which means at the bottom, and we'll see it. Some warp might be better. Let's do warp. We could also downscale this another few steps. Perfect. And let's see if this works. If I do a blend, add this to the background, do a uniform color, add that to the top. We can make it grayscale. And it needs to be fully white, I think. I believe it's this guy. No, which one is it? It's potentially this. But this needs to be... Oh, there you go, I think. Yes, I think it looks where I want it to. It's kind of hard to tell. So let's increase for now. All right, so we're getting the... Okay, so we're getting the bumps, which is what I wanted. The question now is, what if I go fully black? That's not how I'm expecting from it. We'll do 0.5. All right, that's kind of what I want. So we can control this by increasing. So if I increase, the amount of push down or flatten the tops is reduced. Okay, now I want to quickly add back a few of these. All right. So how do I not make it so it doesn't affect the middle? There is another warp we could try. I think this one has an extra alternative. Oh, we tried this, didn't we? How about this? So this is the primary one. Yeah. So this is what I want to warp. And I want to warp it with this. So if I try that. That's nothing so far. So it does the same thing as the directional warp, because it is a uniform directional warp. Alright, so how about this? Let's keep it to this guy. And I believe it's the white parts that tells it to move, isn't it? So this part, let's have a look at this part. If I go there, yeah. Okay, so it's moving with the white parts. Okay, we do have some ads. I feel like we're getting close to this part. We do have a few, but it's the middle part still. And since it's the white areas that move everything, could I somehow mix this guy? Can I mix you with this? So what if I do that? And I need the full range, which is called color level, not range. If I do this, what would that look? Yeah. not even close, is it? Well, it is kinda close. Well, I mean, ignore the fact that it's absolute straight line. That's really thin. Other than that, it is kind of working. The closest we've been so far to a proper... I just want to try something. What if I just go through these? I don't think that's going to help. Hello? I'm sorry. Wait, what? I mean, it's not good. But it's not... No, it's not even close. Yeah, never mind. Just for a second, I thought I had something, but no. Mean darken, switch, blah, 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 blah. No. Okay. So that's not going to work. Alternatively, I could try. So let's add you back. And now random seed. Let's add a little bit this. Now, alternatively, what we could try, rather than mixing in values into this guy, we could do this and mix back this part, or flip it around perhaps, rather than this. Ooh, that's not perfect because you have that part. How about that? Add sub. The add sub part wasn't horrendous, was it? Well, it's not great. Yeah, that's not great at all. But that's closer. All right. So it's closer. But perhaps this is the solution, because I did like the edges a lot better. So we could probably try and manipulate this guy instead. So what if we do this? Let's keep this. Let's delete this. So what we're going to do, we're going to move this into a blend. And we're going to warp this and with that, and then blend that into this. Music. That was the weirdest ending to a song I've ever heard. It just stopped. In the middle of a tone, like a rhythm or beat. That's what it's called. So what we're going to try. We're going to see, let's see, Adlin. Ooh, wait. Is it a min-max? Min-max might be it. Not switch, because that's something else, I believe. Okay, so let's try the min-max, because it looked like I was seeing things the way I wanted to. Yeah, if you look at it, it doesn't seem like it ever completely crosses the middle line. And I kind of go wild on it. Muhammad, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Let's see. So let's dampen this a little bit. So let's have a look. Who am I? Who I am? Or have you forgotten me, Muhammad? It's been a year since you since you and me met. So have you completely forgotten me? Or is it the volume or the sound? Because I was experiencing some mic issues earlier. Ooh, that might be much. You kind of like it. I kind of like the difference. What's going on, Mohammed? I'm not following. Oh, I don't like that part. That might be because I am trying too much. It kind of gets in there quite early, but we might be able to get away with it. The device is not working? What? Something's off? Is there not sound again? No, no, my volume is there. Something on your side, perhaps. Although, I mean, could always be on my side. All right, so I think we are on to something. Oh, it's better. Awesome. So this that. How I am? I'm great. Really great. How are you, Mohammed? Let's do that. So we do have, I think, a good start. We have all of these kind of nice lines. And that thing we saw, if I increase that again, where are you? These things, I don't think I'm super worried about those because they could be integrated into the pattern of the wood, right? I think we're fine. Oh, you're in the city and the internet is bad. It's hot and noisy. Ooh, that's fun, isn't it? Let's delete this. Should I then flatten? I don't think we need to flatten that surface much more than this. The question is, though, do I want to decrease the width between them? Because I'm looking at this part down there. Might want to decrease it ever so slightly. Yes. Perfect. So now I want to create these big duggins. We don't really have those. We're going to try the gauze in those this time. Or perhaps a purlin again. Let's try them both. Are you still on the internship? Well, I'm assuming that will be going on for quite some time, wouldn't it? How's that going, by the way? Apart from the heat and noise. What are you doing? Slope blur grayscale. So this needs to go into that. We need to increase the samples, turn that down, and do min. You know what? I don't think the Gaussian noise will work. It's the pattern's a bit too all over the place. I prefer this. And I'm assuming I need to decrease this a bit. Like so. I think we're going to do then. So these are almost roundish, right? And this is kind of flat. So we're going to try, well, we're not going to try, we are going to flatten this. Do something like that. Then we're going to input this. See what we get. So now we get these, which I like. And then we can do levels. Sharpen up that part again. We don't want them all over the place. We're going to do something else. Fix that. The way we're going to do that is we're going to grab this guy, shove that into a directional warp, and then make sure we go ham on the values. And the main reason why we're doing this, if we have a look at this, so you can see the pattern. This pattern repeats itself down here and almost at the bottom. And what we can do to mitigate that repeating pattern is to randomly force our noise blur, or the noise pattern, to move around with a random offset. Because that is what this random grayscale is doing. It's telling you, well, where it's dark or black, in this case, don't move the texture at all. Keep the noise as it is. And where it's slightly higher in values and brightness, it will move the noise pattern slightly differently. So this guy will move it slightly different. And we can always, if we wanted to, kind of randomize this. So we can do randomize seed, and this will update. So let's try that. And then we have a line, which I'm not super worried about because we're not going to use this. I'm thinking what we should do is to blend it in somehow. So you're doing more than required, but you will be learning about blood analysis machine. That's cool. Of course, we don't want to do absolutely more than we have to, right? At least it kind of depends. Going beyond just can always be an upside. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. But if you're kind of worried about it, why not ask someone about it? If you have like someone at your place that you can ask, hey, I've done all of these things according to the requirements. I've met them all. Can I move on? And sometimes they will likely tell you to, no, you need to stay here for the entire thing that's required. I don't know. I wouldn't call me an expert. I barely know anything about internship at hospitals, especially in a different country. That's complicates things a bit more. So it's a good thing you're getting everything and more. That's not perfect, is it? Not by a long shot. How about we turn you down? This is not what I hoped. Or is it? No, that's horrendous. So what if we try another? Could try a copy. No, that's not. Let's multiply again. Add sub. Add sub. No. Min darken. No. So how long are you going to be there, Mohammed? Your internship, is there a limit to it? Well, it should be. What is it? I'm curious. Illegal? Where did that come from? How about we do... What if we do that? And then we do that. I don't know if this is going to be stable solution. Maybe not even a solution at all. What if I do this and then we'll increase these values? No, I'm not liking this too much. I don't know why it's doing that. Or am I? Oh, yes. I know why. I know why. Oh, that's so dumb. Mayonnaise. How you doing? It's a non-factorial. Yeah, true. Only Fridays is factorial. Otherwise, it's game dev. Right now, we're working on creating this pattern, copying this wood pattern. I just came to realization that this thing I did over here would not work because, yeah, we warped things, which is why it's not going to work. So how will we do it then? There is a way to make another grayscale that works with this. Trying to figure that out, because if I, instead of warping with this guy up here, I should be warping with a grayscale of this. Tough, to an extent, if you're doing something you haven't done before, but it's a matter of just knowing that you're working with values between 0 and 1, and making sure you keep track of what they represent in a height version or a height scale. So 0 will be the lowest value and 1 will be the highest value. And then you can kind of look at, okay, so I can create this pattern. I can then tell this pattern to be all white with border. I know what this does. I know what this does. It creates the gradient between. So if I put this into my height details, I get this kind of metallic pattern. So it is a fairly straightforward process. It's just being creative with how you implement them, knowing that, oh, if I do this, if I grab this guy and I blend it with this guy, I pretty much know the results I'm going to get. Yeah, exactly. Building layers is a good example. But each layer, depending on what you choose to, how you choose to blend it, might affect the underlying layer. I mean, if I grab, for example, let's do a shape, and I'll make it slightly smaller. Like so. Then I grab another shape, and this time I'm going to make it a disc, and make it even smaller. I know that if I then blend this, I know that if I put this guy in the background, and this one, so this will be the bottom layer, this will be a top layer. And I tell my blend node that, hey, I want to remove all the white from the white of the square. Then I can just do a subtract. And now I have a big hole. So you keep pulling, you keep doing that type of math. Or I could, okay, let's make this guy, let's do this instead. Let's make sure that this guy is half. Let's see if I can do this. Not sure why it's not working. Oh, because I need to do that. This guy. So if I do half, now I know that the middle part, the bright part, is 0.5. Okay, so 0.5 times 1, which is the white, then multiply. I know that everything around it, because that's 0, will be, yeah, just keeps adding that on top. So it's all about math, which is kind of fun. I'm going to 15 of the next, I'm going to, of the next month when I am about to go back to studying. And yeah, wasted most of the summer. That's one way to look at it. Another way is to look at it that this summer you've improved a lot as a individual. You've learned, hopefully, a lot, and taken many steps towards a goal you're aiming for when you're maybe later in your 20s or early 30s. Well, this all depends on your age, I guess. But rather than looking at it as a waste, look at it more as I've improved and changed to the better as a person. I would go with that route rather than I wasted my life over summer. You didn't say life, you said summer. So be positive. Keep it straight, like positive and straight. It makes sense? Awesome. I am not the greatest at explaining things, so if that made sense to you, that's all good. All right, so we're going to make, I don't know, can I do a flood fill? I cannot, because this is not the right colors. The colors I want is green and red and yellowish. Oh, we can do that. How about this? Let's do a histogram scan. And we're going to increase the precision and the contrast. Something like this, which perhaps doesn't make sense, but now I can do that. Still not correct. It's likely because they're touching on the side. So now we need to do no tiling. Maybe you're correct. Are you correct? Can I do a grayscale flood fill grayscale from you? Just look like I can. Flood fill random grayscale. Can I do that? No, that's not correct. Oh, you didn't save money? Oh, you don't have to always save money. I mean, did you use the money for something practical and good? Did it help you reach your goals? I mean, every cent you spend on improving yourself and reaching a goal, I wouldn't call that a waste. Unless, of course, you do feel like it's a waste. But then, are you really aiming for a goal you want to achieve? I don't know. This program is called Adobe Substance 3D Designer, which is a mouthful. And it's one of the standard texture softwares in the gaming industry. One of many, but it's one of the best when it comes to creating these type of tileable textures. And tileable just means that if I were to place them next to each other, it just creates this infinite loop of perfectly blending textures. You can see it kind of looks the same all the way. So that's tileable. Now I'm looking at that. It is going on the side. And how the hell would I fix that? No tiling. I need to do a no tiling on you, or are you already no tiling? Why aren't you working? You should be working. Is it because you're going on the other side? I don't know. Oh yeah, if you know what you're doing, which I'm not saying I am, but even at my level, you can get a lot from it. Because the alternative, of course, would be to go into 3D software, 3D model, everything, which, of course, is an alternative. The downside is that when you want to make a change in the 3D software, you're going to have to take so many steps back or redo the entire thing. But what I can do is go to this last node and just do a random seed, and will give me a different result. It just propagates, goes from one node to the other, left to right. So that is the big thing about this. And if I don't like what's happening, let's say, I do like what's happening right here, but I want an alternative to it. I can just drag it out and call, hey, I want to blend it with something else. But I can still keep the old one, because that ends up here. And then I can make a new alternative, so I can grab all of these output nodes and just make another version and export that. And if I make 10 versions, I can do that. I might have to be careful, but at some point it will get really sluggish, because it does demand a fair bit. You can see all of these green numbers. Eventually, these add up. Like every node demands like a small time to process, and eventually it adds up. So why is it that you're not happy? Are you touching anywhere other than the outside? Why? This should be working. Because you are working. Why aren't you working? Or this guy? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming it's the same thing, right? Because the software needs a certain amount of time and processing power per frame or per millisecond to calculate what's happening. Same goes for game. FPS, although important, I don't believe that's the most important value you want to look at. You want to look at milliseconds per frame. I believe it's the proper, more important one. But yeah. I don't like that this isn't working. Because if I could get the flood fill to work, then we are A-OK. I mean, I could try. I don't think this is the best way to do it, but if we do this, make sure it's not tiling, which it isn't. No, I just want to scale it down. I'm going to scale it down. This is just a test. I think this is the problem. It is not. It is not the problem. But what is the problem then? Mysterious. Why? What is it that I'm missing? You're the same. Could it be? No, I don't know. I need to look this up. So Johnny Node, the guy I mentioned in comments, he probably tell me why this isn't working. Let's see, Johnny Node, or nodes rather. So he uses this technique everywhere, and it's really powerful. I need to know why. Why isn't it working for me? Maybe it's not in this tutorial, which would be unfortunate. I'm pretty sure he does, though. Just needs to find it. Oh, and I can't launch an previous project I've done because I don't have any available, which is even more unfortunate, I guess. Oh, there is something. Yeah, that didn't help at all because I'm doing exactly the thing he's doing. So yeah, that didn't help. So why? Why are you so upset? That sucks. How would we fix this? Should we deform this guy earlier, but if we do that, I don't think that's going to work. And my reasoning is if I do a deform of this guy earlier, or rather than I'm deforming it completely with using a warp, rather than deforming the bevel, then is that maybe that works. No, actually. What if we try that? How about we try that? So I'm going to grab this entire thing. And rather than this, how about we do this? Yeah, okay, so that's the thing. I'm not getting the straight line anymore. So could I somehow then do a blend between these two? How would I get that to be a straight line? Change the song, by the way. This is annoying. Well, it's not necessarily annoying. It just doesn't fit my mood. I don't think that's going to work. I do need my flood fill somehow. Oh, wait. Could it potentially be? I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do 0.5. Instead of partial contrast, we're going to go full contrast. And then we're going to try flood fill, which gives us this problem. And that doesn't help. Right. How about Google? Google. Not that. It's not what I want. I might have found something. Let's see. Or maybe not. I'm not sure why it's not willing to accept. would be appreciated. Blah, blah, blah. If it needs a border around the map, does that mean? Oh, wait. Yeah, he's telling us again. I've tried this, but let's try that one more time. Sometimes it's all about trial and error, I guess. I mean, this is already... Yeah. This is a fun part, isn't it? About game dev and everything like this. 3D modeling, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Then add a chance scale it 1-on-1. Blah, blah, should fix it. This happens because of the pattern. One more way. What is he doing? Blah, blah, da, da. Oh, interesting. That is interesting. How about we give that a shot? All right, we've got some ads too, so we'll try that once we're done with this. Other than that, though, I can tell you that I'm making great progress on the game in general. I've reached a point where I'm actually working on the inventory system. So hopefully within, I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell because finding time is kind of on and off all the time. But hopefully within a few weeks, I should have a working inventory system. We have sound, both ambient footsteps and firecracking. I've also worked on a system which I found kind of fun, which is how light sources detect the player and if they are within a certain distance. But also that it doesn't when the distance overlap with the wall, so you can stand on the backside of the wall but still get the same advantages of the light source, even though the light can't really see you. No light is hitting you. You're not illuminated by the light. And the fun part is that we use a ray trace or line trace to kind of shoot towards the player. But if it finds the wall first, it tells it, hey, yep, we can't see the player. He's out of line of sight. So I found that fun. It's the first time I've done it in general. Never done it in Blueprint or C++. But since I'm doing everything in C++, it just takes a bit more time. Five seconds. Oh, look, I got something. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Right, so I did find a fun little hack or solution to this. So what we're going to do, so apparently the main reason why the flood fill isn't working is just because it doesn't have that small border. I'm not sure why this counts as a border, because I'm pretty sure if I go through and do a flood fill on this black whitened, actually just kind of want to test that first. If I pass you into this, no, I need to do an edge detect first. And I think the edge detect, yeah, the edge detect does something, I think. All right, so either way, that's not the trick. So let's go to this guy. Let's go to scaling. And we're going to downsize that scale ever so slightly. And we're going to blend with this guy. I'm going to blend with a multiply rather than subtract. So we should have a very small, which I'm not sure is ideal, but we could fix that. All I want now is to get the fluff. It's still not working. And now I'm really confused. Why is it that you refuse to just work? What's the problem? Because this is also a problem. Are you the issue? Why would you be an issue? Is it something with my... If I do that, I don't think it's going to work, but let's try it. Yeah, I'm not sure. It is the same that he's doing, like Johnny is doing. So I'm really confused. All right, so let's do this way. I'm gonna scale these down. I'm just gonna. This is a test. Yeah, right. He's doing that. So let's see if I do this, that, this. I want to input that in there. Make this insane big, only source. Then put that into a flood fill. And it's still not working. Oh, right. No, I didn't do that correctly. I need to do it. That is what I want. But why? What's the difference? I don't know. Well, it is the edge detect thing. That is the big issue. I don't know if my system works. So I'm kind of dodging and weaving here. Oh, that happened. Something happened. I'm confused. Perhaps. It was working all the entire time. God damn. All right. I was under the assumption, I guess, that the flood fill had to be green, red, and yellow. Apparently that is not true, because this is what we want. And from here, what we want to do... actually, can I do that? No, I can't do that. That's fine. All right, cool. From here, we want to do an edge detect. And I need to save before everything crashes on me. That will be so annoying by now. Let's see. It's a good source assets. Textures. Fine. Should we make a folder called Word, I guess? And this will be... let's call them rough wood planks. And let's add a 01 so we know that it's a version of it. Cool. So also gonna remove the roundness, not completely apparently. There we go. And then with this, we're gonna try the distance thing again. Get in and max distance, only source. Cool. So now we can see, hopefully with this we have a way to make this go a lot better. I know it's getting quite difficult to see what's what now, so let's make a bit more space. We can also clean it up by using something called portals, which is similar to the reroute node in Unreal. But for now, I'm just going to do this. So with this, and this guy should be more, it should follow this pattern better. Not perfect, I guess. That's to be expected. There we go. I think this looks a lot better. There's some small artifacts, but I think that's fine. So we can see the difference if I were to grab this guy. Let's add a... like so. See if we can see the difference. So this is what it looks like with the original kind of straight one. You're in a voice chat on Discord. All right. Cool. And so we can see the difference. If I now add this guy. Yeah. That's a lot better. Still don't like this. Not sure why that's happening. But that's a step forward. I do have that. So it could potentially be. And this guy needs to be adjusted a bit. Let's do an auto level, which will mess up things even more. Then let's do a blur. That doesn't seem to help, does it? No. So now likely that it's the blending that needs work. Or what if we do that? Honestly, I think that's probably better. But we could also try perhaps the Gaussian noise this time could have. Random disorder. We'll see. I'm not convinced. But let's have a look at the normal instead. I mean, that is not bad. I don't know if it's an improvement though. How about I try this? Let's do levels. Back to the normals. I want to see what happens if I sharpen up the white values. Then it disappears. That's not what I want. What if I do the other way around? And that disappears. All right, so let's not do that. We could also try. Let's do clouds. Let's do the scale, but instead of as is, I'm going to blur it. Is that better? Yeah, I think it is. Barely, but I think it is better. Let's see if we can't find a better way of blending these. That's multiply. So far, multiply or min darken seems to work the best. Yeah, and I'm leaning to min darken. But we'll also let's do a small one. We can increase the intensity. Or maybe not. Like so. Let's go back to multiply. Oh, could it potentially? That is a small chance, yes. So what could happen when you do a directional warp is that it introduces artifacts in the noise. And that is what we might be seeing right here, that these have not been moved exactly the same. There might be some slight artifacting. So let's do a slight blur. There we go. Yes, that helped a lot. Still a bit too much, but yeah. I'd say that that looks great, doesn't it? We're getting somewhere. Let's try the Berlin again. Do I like that a bit more? This feels more like what I see in the image up here, doesn't it? Yeah, maybe, maybe not. I do like this one too. It's wavier, which not really what we want, but we could increase this a bit more. Yeah. I'm going to keep it to the cloud noise. So let's remove all of these. We're going to do a quick cleanup. We can also do another thing. I do believe it's the non-uniform blur, is it? Non-uniform blur grayscale. So what we'll do with this guy, we're going to input you like so. Is it meant to be on itself? Can't remember. Might be on itself. So what I hope to do is to find a way to smooth this part. Like if you look at this section right there, which is, it doesn't remember, I can see it right there. So hopefully if I do that, yes, it is slightly smoothing it out. How far can I go before? Not too far. Do I like that part though? I don't know. Oh, how bad has this been broken? Okay, let's do this. And levels. Make sure it's center. So we got working with the full range. Now, I don't like this part. Where is that coming from? Where is that coming from? That might be from this part. No, definitely not. No, multiply it is. I don't know. Maybe this is as good as it gets. We might be able to hide a lot of these artifacts once we get into, like detailing. Just 1 second. We could also do another uniform blur. Let's do that and grab this guy again. And perhaps I should invert this. Nope, that's not even close in levels. That's not what I wanted. Click this guy, that guy. So if I now increase the intensity, then my middle line is slightly less intense. Do a very small nudge. And if I go to this, yes, I think this is starting to look up, or look a lot better. Look up, that's a proper word, isn't it? There we go. Messy, but we're fine. So now what? Maybe I should introduce these types. I mean, honestly, I probably should. How would we do that? Let's save that so we don't have to break anything. Let's see. Let's reduce that. Did you fall asleep, Mohammed? Let's see. So let's reduce that ever so slightly. Actually, we don't have to be very slight. We can actually reduce this quite a bit. Because the way we're going to do it doesn't really matter when it comes to scale. Should we introduce some randomness to the scale? That would make sense, wouldn't it? So if we do ever slight randomness. Do I have an offset somewhere? Precision. Offset. No. I would have preferred if I didn't have to offset them all. Do I want to do that? I want to do this. That's what I could do from here. So I introduced randomness again. Not random scale though. Random illuminance. Can do a histogram scan. We're going to increase the position once more. Do that. distance. Max. Only source. Yeah, that's not going to work, is it? That's not what I wanted. How about... I think I'm overcomplicating things. How about we do this? Go back to full, or rather 0.99. I don't need this. Yeah, that's not what we want. We want to do that. That. On each X. There we go. Right. No, we want to do this. I'm going to copy you again. We're going to make you not 2. And then I'm going to do a histogram scan on the output of this guy. Do full so. Randomize this guy. Is there not better options than these? At least the only option I can get. All right, fair enough. And then we're going to blend these two. No. Nope, that's not what I want. Scale. How about that? Yeah, that's better. Now you're like that. Why are they all showing up? Because this needs to be like that. This is not going to work the way I want. Perhaps I should focus purely on, yeah, let's focus on this. We can introduce these cracks later, I think. Maybe I shouldn't even get those involved at all. I do want them, at least on a few. Oh, right, I forgot. Yeah, this needs to be like so. Now we're talking. Okay. Now that's better. That's better. Not great, but better. And then
Static.
that's first. Let's go with that. From here, what do we need to do? Because now we've introduced that part. Do I need to push them into a separate line? Oh, how would I do that? Because now I'm introducing another bevel. Maybe that's dumb. Yeah. So what I'm doing now, since I have this small crack now, I need that bevel in that area to be slightly different compared to bevels on the sides. So these bevels that we see here, they need to be wider. It's a larger bevel compared to what will be this guy. And I'm not sure how to introduce that unless I do it. I can do it this way. Which means I need another tile sampler. Grayscale. No. No, I need this guy. So what we're going to do now is instead of horizontal, we're going to work with verticals instead. Yes. And we're going to make this 2 and 1. Which is weird. But that is what we're going to do. And then we're going to do a directional warp. We're going to use, where are you? This guy? Yes. Like so. And we're going to make this, I don't know, 600. Some of these are not going to work. No, we're not going to do that. Actually, we're going to do... Ooh. Yeah, we're going to do this. Sorry. This needs to be 1. Let's do a shape. No, we don't need to do a shape. What we need to do is find scale, but it's going to be normal size. And we're going to make the X size very small. We don't need luminosity anymore. Like so. Then we get this. That is good. And, ooh, wait, how will I do? So many things, because what I want to do now is the same bevel technique we did earlier. So perhaps instead of this, let's invert this guy. Let's invert it, thank you. There's an invert node, but this one is less expensive. And then we're going to bevel fully to an auto levels. That's great. Then we're going to implement that into this part. Now we have these. Maybe this should have been edge detect instead. Why would I want to do an edge detect instead? I don't think I do. No, I do. All right. That's almost what we want. Let's try this one more time. Like so. So if I do it this way, then I can use the edge detect to control the width, but the bevel size will never change, which is a lot better for me in this case if I can do this instead. So they're always touching at the middle, so that doesn't change, but this changed. I think that's a lot better. I want to do that, this, do a blend. Do I want to do it before or after the slow? I think I want to do it after. How about this? Let's do it in this part. I'm not sure if this is going to work, because I'm afraid that they're not wide or tall enough to go work all the way. They are. Let's have a look at this. How does that look? It's very sharp, but it's definitely doing something, which is great. And then, of course, we might want to slightly move, offset each piece, but yeah, that might be a bit overkill. I mean, it's not great, but it's something. We could also try do this. Amen. How much more? About 1, 2. Might be a bit small. Would it be better to use a Gaussian? No, I like that. I'll scale it down even further. Right. Let's have a look at that, see what that looks like. That's a lot. It's too much. So let's do 06. Yeah, that's a bit of interest. We're going to do a lot more before we actually do this part, though, I think. Was it better with this? Ooh. You know what's better? Well, let's do that. Then do another slope blur. Introduce this. Yeah, that's a lot better. However, that's one thing we need to do. So the noise right now, it's kind of going from one plank over to the next. It doesn't break up as if they're separate planks. Because at some point, these were separate planks, right? So you can kind of see it digs in a way that feels like it's being placed there pristine. And then afterwards, someone went in and evenly broke them loose, while in reality, it might have been one breaks loose slightly different than the other one. If that makes sense. What we're going to do before we do the slope blurs on both of these, we're going to do a directional warp on both. Let this like this. But we need something to warp it with. That is what we're going to do with these guys somehow. Can I do something with you? So I do have the edge detect. And similar, where is it? Where is it? What we did up here. Let's try that. So that goes in through that. Well, it's touching, that's the problem. All right. I'll do some walkies, stretches, and give it a think. So be back in about... Well, actually, it hasn't started yet. No, never mind. Let's wait another 20 seconds. Then I'll leave. So how would I do this? Now we do have a pause. So got ads over on Twitch, and I need to stretch. So I'll see you all in a little bit. All right, I'm back. And I made a decision while I was stretching. We're not going to do that divide. And here's my reasoning. As I place this along a wall, and it's going to be tiling across multiple like meters. It's like probably the biggest would probably be somewhere like 12, 20 meters, somewhere around there. There are going to be some planks that have that divide and some will not. Well, if I add these like splits between, or divides, I would call them divides, so let's keep calling it that, between each, between planks on the row, then if I do it on all the rows, each plank will be less than 2 meters long, or 4. So let's say it's somewhere between 2 and 4 meters. I'd like to have them a lot longer than that, rather than repeating that often. So for now, until we can see what it looks like, we'll disconnect this part, and we can reintroduce it later on if need be. So for now, let's just do this. There we go. We're also going to do another thing. I'm going to move this part all the way up here. So one thing I've started to do lately, with the last few of these textures I've done, is that instead of going sideways like this and continuously go sideways, I tend to go horizontally now. Vertically. So what we'll do is we're going to grab this and this, and move it down like this instead. I don't know, it feels more intuitive if I do it this way. Because I know that each new step or each new frame, because I'm going to add a frame to each one of these, is a new detail level. So I know that this top one is the main base level, main base shape, and then I know that the next one will be maybe a cutout, and so on, so on. So this has been more helpful lately. And we can clean up the connectors once we're done, because we could always make a portal, which is, again, I mentioned this earlier, similar to what the rewrite node is. So we can kind of portal or transfer the details over to whatever we need it to without having these long connectors. So we can do that once we get to a point, I feel. Yeah, it's more reasonable. There we go. And this is this, all right. Let's do a quick cleanup. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect, just enough so that I feel like I know what I'm doing. Like so, grab this. There we go. So that will be base shape. This will be the larger cutouts, and we should probably go for smaller cutouts, depending. So we have these kind of finer edges and kind of chips. Question is, how will we get those? We could try adding a cloud, but I feel like the cloud would probably be more rounded shapes rather than these chipping patterns. We could try it, see what that gives us. Other than that, how does everything look? Some of them are a bit too much. Do 0.7 instead. There we go. I think that's better. Yeah, so look from a distance, it feels fairly good. I think the scale might be a bit much. Where is it? It should be this guy. I can't make it smaller. So what I need to do is I transform like so. And then scale it. Yes. Besides, I want it to be uniform. That is good. That's good. Awesome. So let's try the smaller ones, which would mean a clouds again. I might have to try a different. Different noise. Now let's try the clouds. See what that gives us. Like so. Go that in there. Increase the samples. Let's try. No, we're not going to try max. Max pushes out, so everything that's white will be kind of remain the same, but all gradients will be pushed away from where they are right now, rather than we're digging in. And I think maybe that's what we want, because looking, that is kind of. Is that really digging in? No, it's not really. It's more moving the top layer. All right, let's see what it looks like. All right, it will also affect the gradients, wouldn't it? I mean, to some extent, we do want to do that, but this is not what I want right now. I mean, this part kind of works. Kinda. Let's try the directional noise. I think that's going to be correct. No. It is kind of woody, though. So maybe later on. How about this guy? Yeah, that is more what I wanted. More, but not really that close. What else can I do? How about we try another approach? What if I do that? Instead of min, let's do max. Yes. And if I do this, then it levels. Let's do blend. How would I blend these? Add, perhaps? Ooh, close. Let's try that. It's a bit choppy. Can I reduce the choppiness? Not really. No, that's not going to work. So how would I get that pattern? I can get some inspiration. I do have another source that I've been looking at. I thought I had one. Which one is it? Have I lost it? Seems to have lost it. Awesome. Let's see. Right. Nope, it's not that one. Perhaps it's in my history. I did look at it fairly recently. How far back do I need to go, though? That's another question. Maybe not that far. Oh, no, far enough. All right, cool. About that. Oh, this is the one, I believe. No, that's in Painter. God damn it. That's not what I wanted. I could potentially get some ideas from Painter, but no. This is the one. It's not even the correct one. I'm searching for the wrong things. So let's see, what are they doing? Gradient dynamic. Warp, sure. And then you get that pattern. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. We could try that. That makes sense. So rather than slope blur, things like that, we're going to use a regular warp. We're also going to grab the directional noise, I believe. Let's double check. Is that what we want, or is it the other directional? Number 3, perhaps. I think number 3 is slightly better. I'm going to add that into this guy. Then we're going to grab this guy. And of course, we need to lower this a lot. So if we then slowly, well, that's not slowly at all. Actually, that is not what I wanted. Oh, sorry, it's not the warp. It's the multi-directional warp. That's the one we want. And I'm assuming we want to change it to chain. Let's do. Yeah, this is more what I was after. But I don't want to affect everything, I think. Or we could do this. Let's grab this guy. Go into this part. I believe min. Just too much. That's not helping at all. Because this needs to be connected to that, not the other way around. So let's increase this slightly. Oh, that's not slightly at all. And 2, perhaps. That introduces some cool patterns, and that in turn will be delete this part, delete, and introduce that. And of course, intensity is way too much. Whoa, where did you come from? And average, perhaps? Nope. Min? Min is pretty cool, but that's not what I want. Max. Chain? Not really, no. It's not good, is it? I kind of like that. But instead, I'd like to see... Can I make this larger? Because I think that could be nice. Yeah, kind of like that. It might be too fine details for now. We can always adjust that later on. That's why we do this modularly. Modular. That's the word I'm looking for. How about that? Let's see what that looks like. Turn your down and on. Okay. I do actually like that. Although it might be slightly too much, but let's keep it for now. So this is finer details. That might be happening later. So how about that? And we're going to... Okay, well, let's try that. This guy. That doesn't look right. Yeah, it doesn't look right at all. What's the difference? Doesn't matter. This one. Let's do that. You were watching 20 minutes behind, and I look angry. No, I'm focusing. That's my focus face. I am not angry at all. All right, so let's try this. Fair enough. Yeah. All right. So let's see. I do need some knots, right? Yeah, I do need some knots. So it needs to be bell. Freaky, how you doing? How you doing? Yes, Mohammed, it's a lock-in face. Yeah, that's my lock-in face. Looks weird, but it is what it is. Okay. So we need to do this. So I'm kind of following another tutorial now. It's doing some cool stuff. Oh. Okay, fair enough. Oop, it's not the right buttons, is it? What's happening? There we go. Yeah, got a new keyboard, so it's kind of all over the place when it comes to pushing buttons. Not sure if this is going to work, but he makes it work, so why not? So blend in with a max. There we go. What next? Okay. I'm not super happy with this, but we can probably adjust that later on. Ah, cool. That's cool. What was it? Let's see if I can type grunge map 2. Let's try that. That's pretty cool pattern. Range. Gradient. I never used this one, or I've used it, but I'm not super familiar with it. So it does that. That's not what I wanted. Yeah, I feel like I missed something. Something's not right. Something's not right. That's the worst part when I try to copy something and it's just not working. Yeah, it doesn't look the same at all. that I'm missing? I don't like when this happens. Ah, that's the problem. There we go. That looks more like wood, although weird, but it looks like wood. And the pattern we're trying to get, well, I do kind of like that pattern, but we want more randomization to do, I think, because it's positioned. So do position offset. How about this? How about that? That's fun. I don't like how uniform these are, so let's just scale a bit. How about that? This part I'm not sure about. It's fine, I guess. Yeah, maybe it's getting better once we get through the initial tutorial part. Multi-war. This guy, right? This guy into this guy. Do a slight one. Yeah, I would like more patterns, like slight more whirls. This is just way too straight. I like this part. This part looks really good. But the other one is just too straight. I mean, if we look at what this looks like, it's... Maybe we'll get there. Who knows? Yeah, that looks great. That really small detail. You see it right there. All right, so the question is, this part... So I think this section or base needs to be adjusted a bit more. I'm not sure how, if this is the right approach. It's probably not. That's just way too small. So this is more what I'm after. Likely not at this intense. What's going on, Mohammed? You're feeling like you're dead? Didn't you get enough sleep? That's... I mean, the patterns are there, but it's just... not what I want. No, that's not even close. And the tutorial did give me a pretty good idea what to do, but it's not enough. Now I'm not sure where to go. Oh, he's doing that. So now I found another one. Oh. Right. Okay. That is smart. And we're going to try and replicate that part. So we're going to remove these. I'm going to add another tile sample generator. Not that one. I want the other one. This one. This is the one I want. Let's see if we can't replicate what he just did. You don't know? Well, have you done all the things you usually need to do, like eat, sleep, water? Have you drank enough? Could be that you're tired. So we're gonna do Herbaloid, I believe. Let's have a look and see what he actually did. Just kind of cheat a bit. Yeah, I assumed as much. Let's go with that. Let's see, do you think I can make all the game ideas in my head, or the art ideas, or hardware ideas, or the life ideas, or most things I have in my mind? Could you do them? Yes. If there's a lot of them, you might not have time, so you might want to pick one, or at least start with one. Start with the one you like, the idea you like the most. Start there. And if you have time in your life, like looking at your lifetime, if you have enough resources and time to do all of them, that would be great. If you don't, then start with the most important one and get to it. Don't wait. All right, scale random, scale, do random. No, we don't want to do that. Like this. No, we want to do the other way around. So we're going horizontally. Scale this up, get this down. Do like some petition random shit. And instead of this, we're going to do max. And we're going to do some variation like this, I think. What's most important to you, Mohammed? That's a question only you can answer. I can give you my opinion, but that's it. It's just my opinion of why what I think is important. And that's not important to you. You need to pick something you find important and then go for it. I'm just here as a weird guy on the internet. I should not be your priority. Let's see. Do that. See if that works. We can always adjust this later. Yeah, exactly. Weird guy on the internet. That is who I am. Let's do that. Do I need to do this one, I think? Let's double check. Okay, it didn't do that. It did the other way around, which of course makes sense, I guess. So let's do a blur. Then into this guy. And let's do a 50. All right, so we're getting closer, I feel. Maybe the intensity. No, it needs to be more. There we go. Trying to find a version I kind of like. That's the hard part, I guess. Some of these do look like, this part looks kind of like some of these. We do have weirder ones like that. So we're getting close. We might want to warp some more. The amount of warp determines the number of rings, which is important. So what we do to that. What if we try this, by the way? That didn't do much other than that, right? That I like. What if we add this in? This determines that part. Well, actually, kind of looks like knots if I do that, doesn't it? Where's a knot? Give me a knot. Well, no, it doesn't. Well, maybe not. So he did that, then he introduced the knots. This does not look like knots. I prefer this if that's the case. Then warp this a bit. Honestly, perhaps a multi-directional warp would be better in this case. That's very noisy, isn't it? Why is it that noisy? All right, so now we're back to that. Okay, let's try this for now. Are these introducing? Yeah, that's in there. That's that. That's not there. These, that. Are you connected? Yes, you are. And then that goes. Right, we've got some ads. Have a little break. Some water. So I am making progress in the way I want to. Honestly, let's move this. So I do kind of like that. Although we might want to do this first. I'm going to reset. And hard not to work. Like this. Although it might be a bit intense. Yeah, that's good. So I'm not going to touch. I'm not going to touch it until Twitcher's back. That's it. So it would be great if I could get it into Unreal today. I don't think I can though, because I need to add colors and things like that. But once we get to Unreal, I should probably do that as soon as possible to kind of get a feel for it. I might be adding a lot of time onto this, and it makes no sense whatsoever. So I do want to get it in and test it as soon as possible. I remember something which we need to do to the large shape before we move on. Oh, come on. Got another 5 seconds on Twitch ads. And once we are done with that, we're going to add some curvature to the gradient of the base shape. What I'm referring to is the base shape right now is a linear slant, right? That's not what we want. And the question is, should I do it now or on this part or on the next one? I'm sorry, the previous one. I think it should be on the previous one. So let's do a curve. Move all of these over to the side. So what we're going to do, add a center point. Do this, and then move this out. Like so. I think that helped a bit. Did introduce a few issues, it looks like. Where are these issues coming from? So move this up. That's fine. There you go. From where? Is it coming from this guy? Yes. Okay. So it's from me, you. What are you doing here? I'm not sure why I'm... Again, I forgot what... Why am I doing that? Oh, here we go. Right. Okay, because if I do it that way... Why not? Because if I do that curve before the slope, then the slope will have a different effect. Or the slope blur. Right. So what I should do... Rather than the slope, maybe I should just do a min-max or a blend. So if I grab this and this and try a different blend rather than a slope. Let's switch. That is pretty cool, though. That's not what I want. Oh, it needs to be the other way around. No. That's not what I want. So let's do what? So if we remove this part, will that fix? That fixes that. So what do you do? I think we can use this part instead. Is it even working? I'm not sure. Like so, and if I move this even further.
You say I make you nervous, a tragedy, I'm a beautiful disaster, a reckoning, you wonder how I got this way.
Why are you flat, by the way? You're not meant to be flat.
You think
It's introducing the issues either way. Well, actually, it's not. So it's doing something. Hmm. The slope blur is introducing issues. Even after I've removed that part. Oh, is it there? Is it another issue? Are you an issue? What if I do that? Then I will introduce that part, okay? And if I do that, then I'll get that. So rather than this, how about we skip that? Right? And then apart from this section, I do want that. I mean, that's better. It's not great, though. Maybe that doesn't work. It's also why I'm using this part, so that edge doesn't follow. I don't think it does. Rather than multiply, let's do... is it max sliden? No, it's min darken. Yeah, that might have fixed it, to be honest. So now I can't see an issue anymore. So how about we look at you? I mean, that artifact is not a huge deal. Like so. I kind of like that. It's too intense, but it's a detail I like. Can I adjust this somehow? Let's have a look at this guy. Didn't help at all. So what I'm looking for is our details at the edge on the... We do have this, which is pretty cool. Can I adjust it based on that? Which I could. Which probably I should. But, okay, so here's what we're going to do. I am going to adjust this part with something else. This is cool. I think there's better versions of it. What is used? No, it's too small. Let's have a look at the library noises. Where are you? Noise, 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 noise. Where are you? I'm not blind. I am. There we go. Ooh, maybe we should try it. Now that is the one we're trying. I'm fool. This one we could try. We could detect. Maybe we'll try that one. Actually, not. Let's not. What I'm going to do though is, again, I think I've already done this, but we're going to repeat it because I think it worked better than it does right now. So zoom out, increase size. Yeah. Let's increase the size slightly. So all we're going for. We're not going to dig in. Oh, right. That's an issue. If I do that, that's a problem. So I might have to do this either way. And then... So how do I keep it from maybe I should accept it as it is. Or perhaps we should, let's do a max. What's that? Nope, that's definitely not what we're going to do. Yeah, nope, that's not going to work. Yeah, I don't think this is going to work, so I need to keep it to this guy. Yeah, that kind of works, doesn't it? So, yeah, let's keep it as is. I don't know if it's perfectly detailed after this part, but it is pretty good. Maybe even lower it ever slightly. Next, which is what? There's that part. We don't need that yet. Might be a level of detail I'm missing. Right now we're going from large details to almost like smallest details, at least for the base shape. We might want something in between. But right now, I think this is it. That's very close. That's you. How about we don't do that? No, it's actually not you. What if we skip that part? Maybe not. But let's make sure that this is proper. No, you know what? Let's skip it. And instead of doing that, we're going to do a regular blur. The very low intensity. Just to mellow this out a bit. That's probably fine. Oh wait, I'm doing that part. Why am I doing that? Yeah, we're gonna keep this, but remove that. There are so many things I need and want to add, but for now, we're going to... First, we're going to do a directional warp on this part with... Where are you? This guy? Yeah. Well, maybe not, because now we've done a few things after this. Right. Well, maybe we're fine. Because this one follows the very deepest parts, which should be fine. So if I do that on this guy, and I get this, which might even be too large. Details might be too large. But what does that look like if we were to blend these two? So which blend would we use? Because we want to only affect the brightest parts. The white parts. Not like that. That's closer. That be it? Min darken? Yeah, it might be min darken. Yeah. Yeah, apart from that, it's way too big. It does feel like it's connecting somehow. I'm not sure why. How would I make it smaller? Yeah, that doesn't look proper, does it? I'm not sure what it is. See what it looks like. That's terrible. Yeah, I don't like that at all. I'm gonna have to work on that part, I feel. I mean, it does have tree-like textures, but it feels more like a painting or a tapestry than actual. Yeah, not too happy with that. Can I just do this, by the way? What other warps can we try? That's that. We can keep it fairly big. That's just intensifying that part. Do it very low. That's not low, apparently. Nope, that's not it. So it's probably... I mean, that's not worse, but I wouldn't call it better either. And that's that. Okay. So it's this guy. Yeah, no, it's not working. We could try, see if that helps, but I don't think it does. So what if we... Let's do a duplicate view and make it absolutely pitch black. And we could increase glossiness ever so slightly. Sometimes keeping it fairly glossy with a black base color can help, but yeah. I'd say as a first pass on this, we've made decent progress. I feel like the base shape is fairly good. It could look a lot better once we get the base color in. I don't think that will help enough for this to be a good texture. So I will do some further research, see if I can find some more tutorials and similar. And I'm going to check if the base should be changed a little bit, because I would like to have a bit more rounded bevels rather than these linear, almost tent-like sides of bevels. But since we're doing a lot of slope blur, that will affect... we might have to remove the slope blur, to be honest. Because we're not really digging in, we're more lowering, kind of like an MRI scan. Like, you know, where you see slices of a patient. So in this case, it's a similar. We're on layer 502 or something like that, so we can see that part, but the rest is still there. We can look through. But yeah, so this, it's a start, and I think as a first pass, we're doing fairly good. So yeah, I think we're going to end it there. I do have work tomorrow, so I can't be up too late. I'm an old man, so I need my beauty sleep. So yeah, thank you all. This was great, and I hope to see you all next time, which I do believe is on Wednesday. I don't see anything changing that in my schedule or in IRL in general. So we'll continue this on Wednesday. And then on Friday, it's back to Factorio. Let's see if we can't get the, what's it called? The, what was it? What is it called? It was not purple, was it? The yellow science or magenta science? Doesn't matter. See you all on Wednesday. All right. Thank you, Mohammed. Good night, all. And I hope to see you all then. All right. So, bye-bye.